episode 148.
Are you ready to take your eBay business to the next level? Then hold on, because Ron and Ali are going to take you into the fast lane with the latest tips and insights from some of the biggest and most successful sellers here on the So You Wanna Sell on eBay podcast.
Welcome once again to another episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. I'm Ron LeBeau.
And I'm Ali Young.
Hey, everyone. We have with us Jason Deason today. How you doing, Jason?
Doing good, guys.
Nice.
Awesome. That's really good to hear. I'm not even going to ask Ali how he's doing in Thailand today. We're just going to skip on by that and say
don't
that
worry
Jason's
about that.
been an eBay
Don't worry
seller
about
for
him.
10
You know,
years.
that guy who lives in Thailand.
He deals mainly in the used clothing market, but is also looking to expand into shoes and hard goods. He has applied a sourcing strategy that increases his average sale price and sell-through rate of his eBay store, and he would love to share his experiences and strategies with us today. That is so awesome, Jason. Thank you for that. That's cool. It sounds like you've got it going on. You've been doing this for 10 years, you said?
Yeah, I started in 2008, had my first eBay store for about 2 years, and let that eBay store go and started a whole new eBay store, and I've had it since 2010.
Wow. Jeez. So in that bio it said some strategies. That's you got me peeking up with ideas. So what's that all about? Do you have ways of selling, ways of buying? What's the strategies?
Sure. Well, with the strategy that I use for selling is what I'll do is I'll price it kind of at the peak of the market. And I will use a third-party eBay application called Price Spectre, and I'll set it to decrease in price by 1% of the previous day's price. And I actually, what I do is I'll go ahead and document that in the listing description, letting my buyers know, hey, the price automatically decreases by 1% daily. Wow. And what happens, what I'm realizing is like, usually I get 40, 50, 60% of my active items start getting watchers. And once the product reaches like a price point that the buyer is happy with, they'll make the purchase.
Amazing. So does it keep going down, down, down? I mean, if they waited, then it would eventually end up at $0 or?
No, I set a floor price.
Okay.
And I also advertise that floor price. That way they don't expect something that they're not going to get. But the reason why I do that is so that I don't lose my butt, know. And, I don't want to lose money on the deal, but I also want to, make as much money as well. The thing is like buyers can see on Buy It Now items, buyers can see how many people are watching an item. Right. So starts really kind of gaining traction. It'll put a fire under a potential buyer to go ahead and hit the buy button.
Wow, that's
Love
amazing.
it.
So is that sort of from trial and error? You figured that out, or did you've done some research, or?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where I wanted to be able to keep my store in rotation as far as the products that are in it. And eBay's markdown manager is not a very good, there's not really a very good strategy in order to do that, like where you can mark something down. But once something's marked down at 5%, like how are you going to know that you have to mark it down at 10% afterwards and 15% and 20%? So what I like about Price Spectre is I just set it and I'll relist my items every 30 days and they continue the price drop until the floor reaches. And then once that floor reaches, I start sending it to auction every 7 days and just drop the price $1 or $2 past the floor until it's either sold or I just redonate it at that point.
Recirculate. Jeez. So, I mean, it sounds like you've been trial and error for all these years. It's amazing. So what are you? Are you a thrifter? Are you like down the yard sales? Are you like, what's your way of sourcing?
Usually I source a lot from the thrift stores. Mm-hmm. My average cost is actually more than like your average bin picker would be. My average cost is around $5.50. So, but I try to stay with items that have a good average of $30 or better.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, so how do you figure that out? I mean, are you in the store and you're actually looking each one up, or do you buy now? I mean, you've been doing this for quite a while. Are you pretty good at, picking out the good buys?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I still look things up constantly while I'm in the thrift store. I mean, you never really know. I feel more confidence and certainty.
Yep.
Even if something 2 years ago was selling for $30, $40, it doesn't mean it is now, so, I mean, there's a lot of things that I know as far as to pick up without doing research. Like, for instance, yesterday I found 2 pair of men's Brioni dress pants. I mean, it's obvious those are good.
Yep.
And, $50 each, probably pre-owned. And
yep.
And so I didn't even take the time to look those up. I just threw them in the cart.
No,
wow.
Nice.
Free money, man.
Yeah,
Free money.
Stick them in there. So we had a question from Sasha in Australia, and she was talking about trends. Is there anything that, like, for example, I see here you're selling like Ralph Lauren sort of like blazers. Is there a point of time where that gets old and that won't sell anymore, and then they'll want something different? And do you have to deal with like trends at all in your eBay?
Really, the only thing that I've noticed is in clothing, trends really just differ from seasonality.
Okay.
And for instance, like shorts and short sleeve polos and stuff are selling like hotcakes right now. But the problem with summer clothing is it doesn't get as much of a monetary return as like pants and winter clothing does, like jackets, pants, jeans, all that stuff like tends to bring in more money as far as, more profit. When it comes to summer stuff, like I would prefer to like search for particular shorts, like the same brand, same size, and lock those up in lots of 2 or 3 or 4 even to merit a higher return. Yeah.
That's really cool. So do you have any help? Are you a one-man show?
Mostly I do it myself. My wife helps with shipping and helps me keep track of the finances in the business.
Yeah, cool. She does all the hard stuff. You just go out shopping.
She's like, your wife, man. We know that she controls the money, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is like, I'll go out sourcing 3 days in a row, and she's like, hey, you've got, I don't know, 150 items here. When are you going to quit buying stuff and start listing it?
No, I'm shopping.
You were hoping that she'd have it all listed for you when you got home.
Yeah.
Ron and Ali will be right back after this short break.
So, you have an idea, a big idea, and you're ready to jump into the world of e-commerce. Awesome. But where to start? The answer is only a click away. At solutionsforecommerce.com, you'll find available services to help manage, audit, or even build your e-commerce site from the ground up. With over 10 years of experience in developing and managing channels on sites like Amazon, eBay, Shopify, and Etsy, Solutions for E-commerce can help you to grow your small or large business. Take a step back from the technical and do what you do best, and let Solutions for E-commerce handle the tedious stuff like creating, reviewing, adding, or removing listings, setting up or organizing store categories, even merchandising and customer support. Find out why their clients say that their business wouldn't be what it is today without the help from Solutions for E-commerce. Visit solutionsforecommerce.com and take your e-commerce business to the next level. That's solutions, the number 4, ecommerce.com. Use promo code eBay at checkout for an exclusive So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast discount.
Be sure to check out SoYouWannaSellOnEBay.com for the latest podcasts and all the information you need to get selling fast.
Let's talk about that process, Ed. So let's say you have those 150 items, which sounds so daunting, and it is to many people. What's the process of getting them on then? From taking the pictures to descriptions to, that process.
Sure. I usually do it in batches of 25 or 30. And I'll do like all pants and I'll just flat lay them, take all the photos, take the measurements while I'm taking the photos, write the measurements down on a cheat sheet, and then I sit down and list them one by one, assign them a SKU number, and I hang them up. I've got 10. I actually have 10 industrial grade clothing racks that I keep everything hanging in numerical order by the SKU in my shop building, and they stay hanging until they sell. There's a lot of resellers that will package them up and put them in bins. The thing is my motto is like, do as little work as possible until the item actually sells.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it. Plus, then they're obvious that, if you can find them easier, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's easier to find. And when you have questions, when you have questions that, you can take measurements of items or answer the questions a lot easier too that way. So,
jeez, it's insane. I mean, to me, it would be like, where is that jacket? I know I put it around here somewhere. You've got to have. I imagine you've learned from not having systems to put something in place.
Yeah, I mean, it takes more time shipping daily that way because we have to pull it, then we have to fold it and package it up. But again, I'd rather take that time after an item sells than before the item sells.
Wow.
So you're outside. It looks like you might be on your front porch or something like that, and you're on your phone here. I'm just wondering, are you one of these guys that, goes into a thrift store and has it, I don't know, listed before you leave the store?
I've actually thought about that. And, honestly, I've really thought about that. But the thing is like, I like my store to be as symmetrical as possible. So,
okay.
Like all my pants are laying a certain way when I take my photos. All of the shirts and stuff are on mannequins. My backdrop and stuff. Like I just like everything as symmetrical as possible. I mean, it keeps the store cleaner looking and less garage sale-y. So no, I don't take pictures on laying on the back of my car or something like that.
Selfie with my jacket.
Yeah, we have seen those, but I totally understand what you're saying about keeping the store organized, keeping it symmetrical. I like that. Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, I mean they sell as well, even the ones with the selfies. That's just the point on eBay. Everything sells. But if you're looking at your pickies here. You do like a Photoshop work on them as well? You're bringing out, you're making it look nice because I see you got like a wood background there or something.
Actually, yeah, those photos are just I just point and shoot photos.
Oh,
really.
Wow.
I did no Photoshop work. I use a lighting kit, and that backdrop is just something that I enjoyed. It's kind of. It is plain, but I mean, it's, in my opinion, I like a wooden background more than a white one.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They're very clean.
It's kind of country, and you look like you're the kind of like a country boy, right?
Yeah, I guess you could call me that.
As he hops off the hood of his pickup truck. No, I'm just kidding.
So are you one of these that when you go on holiday, you end up in someone's garden or yard over there and, you're looking through their stuff? Or, I mean, is this just you? Because it looks like it's just you. Wherever you go, this is like you now. You go and look in and buying something and, that'll be worth something. Let's stick that on eBay. Or do you have like a period where I'm not doing eBay today?
Man, I try to source at least one thrift store every day.
Yep.
And I try to get, I try to list every day, but it doesn't really happen.
Yep.
There's some days where I'll spend all day long listing. I can get 50, 60, 70 items up in one day. And then there's days where I don't list anything at all and just stay in the store, maybe make some changes on pricing, things of that sort.
That's the freedom, though, isn't it?
Very cool.
I mean, that's the freedom. Oh, I'm tired today. I'm not going to work. I mean, that's the freedom of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially in the summer, like it's the summer slowdown in clothing, shoes, and accessories. And the way I'm kind of trying to combat that is sourcing higher dollar items. And by doing that, it's less time listing and it's more time out sourcing, more time out looking for things, that are more valuable than your average $20-$25 item. And let's face it, as a reseller of used goods, my favorite part about this whole thing is the adventure. It's like the egg hunt, it's like looking for the items that are worth money. That's my biggest, that's my favorite part. So if I could list, 10 items in a day that are worth $50 or better, it beats the heck out of having to list, 30 items a day that's worth $20.
Yep. And that's just from experience, yeah? That's just from you trial and error stuff, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, my average sale price, I think, is hovering just below $30.
Okay.
But I'm definitely looking to move that up. And I've noticed that, I just recently started in shoes. And I've noticed that certain shoes have a much better resale price than a lot of clothing does.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why, but that's just how it is. And so, there's a guy that I watch on YouTube. His name's Tino the Sole Advisor, and that guy's got like over 3,000 active listings in shoes, and he sells anywhere from $500 to $1,000 worth of shoes every single day.
Oh, gee, that's
Oh
a
my
lot of
God.
shoes. That's a lot of space as well. You can't just stick them in a little corner, can you?
No,
No, he's got a warehouse,
definitely-
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's
That's
definitely
pretty cool,
got
though,
it.
that you're not settling for what you've always done. You're venturing out. You're recognizing that you're not drifting too far from your used clothing market, but you're going into shoes and expanding into that and the hard goods as well, right? So is that like purses and things, or what are hard goods?
Yeah, hard goods being, electronics and toys, things that aren't, in the clothing, shoes, and accessories category.
Okay.
I'm just trying to essentially expand my horizon. And I've been so in the niche of clothing that, I feel like there's more to be had. When you go into a thrift store, you see, the majority of a thrift store has clothing, but there's also shoes and then you've got an electronics section. And the thing is like a lot of people get like daunted at the thought of like going into a different area of the thrift store to find things to resell. And really all you have to do is have your smartphone on you and start looking things up.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be amazed at what the heck's worth money, and you probably passed by it 15 times, 20, 30, 40 times.
And I'm like that. I mean, I go into a thrift store and I wonder, because I don't know anything about china or plates or anything like that, but there's always those coffee cups, those sets of plates and stuff, and I'm thinking, how many times did I walk past a set of that or a coffee mug that I could get for 50 cents and it would sell for $75? How many times have I ever walked past that? It's just, I need to get good at that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like you just really, sometimes it's worth it to just go to a thrift store, pull out your phone, and just look absolutely everything up that you walk by. I can't tell you how many brands or how many different items of things that I've come across that are worth substantial amount of money that I had no idea about until I looked it up.
Yep.
And then your eyes get really big, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, okay, there was over the wintertime, there was a women's cardigan made by a brand called Celestial Dreams or Barefoot Dreams. That's what it was, Barefoot Dreams. And I had never, ever heard of this thing. And I was just looking through it, and I felt of this fabric. It felt, heavy, and it felt well made. And I just looked it up, and the thing was like they're selling for $70 or $80. Wow. I had never heard of it, ever. And so I dropped it in my cart, and now I know, future reference, Barefoot Dreams is a brand to pick up anytime you see it.
Wow, I mean,
Very
that's
cool.
great. So are you into women's lingerie and stuff like that, or is that out of your niche?
No, actually, there's very few sections of the thrift store that I won't go through, and that's probably one of them.
Yeah,
You look a bit weird over in that section.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because when I first found out about eBay and that you could make money reselling things on eBay, I was actually dating a girl that was reselling Victoria's Secret bras on eBay. And when she told me about it, I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm not kidding. I was like, okay, I got to see this. And so she showed me her whole operation, and I was like, dang, well, I want to start selling on eBay, but I'm not going to sell bras.
Right.
Let's start with men's ties.
Yeah,
neckties.
socks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's kind of a different area for me. I don't think I'd go in that area as well. I think I'll go check out the records or some kind of toasters or something.
Yeah.
The guys are taking a quick break, so check out these words from our sponsors.
A repetitive question among eBay sellers is, how can I sell more? Another one is, what solutions should I use to grow my business? Today, we have an answer to both. 3D Sellers. It is a first-of-a-kind platform that combines all vital solutions for eBay sellers under one dashboard. 3D Sellers has powerful tools for you to increase sales. 3D Sellers will boost your feedback score with a smart feedback reminder. 3D Sellers will give your listings a professional look and bring repeat business with professional cross-selling emails. And it is easy to use. There are other tools too. 3D Seller combines all the tools you need. Just visit 3dsellers.com and start a free plan now. It is already trusted by over 200,000 eBay sellers. And now only So You Want to Sell on eBay listeners get a 20% discount for a pro plan. Just use the code podcast. Visit 3dsellers.com now and get ready to sell more. Join us for eCom Chicago, our 5th annual 3-day conference on October 18th through the 20th, specializing in e-commerce and business growth. Listen and learn from accomplished speakers in the e-commerce world, including eBay, Etsy, Merch by Amazon, Walmart, Jet, as well as many others. This will be an opportunity you don't want to miss. Network, share tips and tricks, challenges, and successes, and learn from expert speakers and sponsors, as well as the numerous attendees from across the U.S. Be sure to check out the special pre-show vendor day on October 18th live, where vendors will be focused on demos on products and services. Find all the info at ecomchicago.com. Use coupon code podcast to receive $20 off your registration. Visit ecomchicago.com. Sponsorship opportunities available.
So what's the question I like always ask is what's the weirdest thing, or what's that item that you bought really cheap and it just went ballistic? Is that an American word? You use ballistic?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You normally have missile after it, but
I don't have like a $1,000 item, unfortunately. I'm waiting for that day.
Yep.
But I do remember it was several years ago. I had ran across this Ralph Lauren turtleneck sweatshirt. It was the ugliest thing in the world. And it was Polo Ralph Lauren turtleneck sweatshirt, men's. Had a big ski dude on the front of it. It said RL92 in the corner of it. And I picked that thing up for $4 and it sold for $325.
yeah.
I mean,
that, my friend, is how you're able to do this full time, right?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I was full time.
Okay.
I'm actually not full time. I have been in the past full time, but it does produce about 50% of my annual income. Yes,
Definitely. And you've just proven a point there that ugly sells. I mean, it's the amount of people we've had on this show who sold ugly, and they're like, we got such a price for ugly. It was amazing.
I mean, it just blows my mind. Who wants a turtleneck sweatshirt? I mean, really. I mean, personally, I won't wear it.
Yeah.
I could even sue you, with the beard and, that's just... No, but that's the thing. There's someone out there looking at that going, wow, I've been looking for one of those, and bam, they'll buy it because that's what I love about eBay.
Yeah. And I source at the Goodwill bins that's probably about 20 minutes away from me. Occasionally I'll go over there and I'll just dig through the bins And I guess it was probably less than a month ago, I picked up a pair of men's Nakona boots for $2 at the Goodwill bins. And I brought them home, and come to find out, the skin on these boots was Anteater.
Anteater.
So
oh my God, Anteater.
And I thought I was the only one with the Anteater boots.
Dude, those things sold within 1 hour of putting them on eBay for $250.
Wow. Now, when you sell something like that, just because I'm curious, do you do it auction or do you buy it now? How do you do that with something like that?
I actually had it buy it now or best offer. I had them listed for like $440, and I knew that like the completed listings for Nakona Anteater boots there were only two of them. There was a pair of men's and a pair of women's. There were no active, and only two completeds. And both the completeds sold for more than mine. But when the guy said $250, an hour. Sometimes you have to you have to forget about what it sold for in the past and make a quick sale.
Yeah.
I love that, man, because you're absolutely correct. Because you know what? If you'd have passed that up, you might have had to settle for $75 somewhere,
or sit on them for, 3, 4, 5 months. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows when the next person that's going to be interested in those comes along?
Yeah, the next Anteater bloke. Yeah, if there's only two sold, there's only two in the world or something. I think the likelihood of that's happening. So it's amazing. So you mentioned before the show that you got a post office. What do you call it, Ron?
A post office.
Post office. So I'm trying to learn American. Ron, we do tutorials beforehand. Ron's teaching me. But the post office, you mentioned that it's open until 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I'm one of the fortunate ones that there is a post office here in Oklahoma City that is open till 11 p.m. on weeknights. And I usually wait until the evening to ship out my packages. That way I can ship out same day in most instances.
Yeah. Right.
And with that being the case, with this post office, it's also the distribution center. So if I drop it off there, it actually gets to my buyers a day earlier than typical if I went to my local post office.
Well, do they not have lives? They just love being a postman? I mean, what's it all about? 11 o'clock at night. That's what you call it.
Well, it's at the airport. And for some reason, post offices that are at airports typically stay open later. I have no idea why. It's just
we don't care why, right?
Yeah, I bet the people who work there do. God, it's 10:30. I should be in bed.
Yeah, those are the guys that work a lot of hours.
We got 4 minutes left. Okay, so the question I always ask is where do you see yourself in the future? I mean, what are you planning on here? Expanding, growing?
Yeah, I really want to replace a lot of the items that I currently have in my store with higher profit, higher margin items. And the only way to do that really is to educate myself on different avenues in sourcing. And really, I want to get into a point where, I'm spending $50, $60, $70, $80, $100 on an item for a hopeful return of 200 plus. I want to be able to invest more in my product to sell to get a larger profit margin. So I'm not the kind of guy that's scared to drop $50 on one item if it shows if the completed listings show a high sell-through rate. It's a quick seller. Like for instance, I went to a pawn shop the other day. Hi, sweetheart. I went to a pawn
with special
shop
guest. No.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Went to a pawn shop the other day and picked up. It was two Galaxy Camera 2 cameras, and they were worth about $315 a piece, used on eBay. I picked them both up for $315, so I kept one and sold the other one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Those are good wins, man. I like that when that works like that. You know, I mean, obviously you do too, right? Because that's part of the reason why you do it. Very cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I thoroughly
Ali,
enjoy.
are you doing the mute button?
I'm doing.
Ali.
Did you see my kung fu? I'm practicing my kung fu movie. You know where?
Yeah, he's over there. I see his lips moving, and he's not saying anything. And I'm thinking he's pulling around.
So, but sadly, we run out of time. I mean, half an hour really just flies by on this show. And I look at you, Jason. I could pull out another 3-4 hours worth of information from you. So we're gonna have to get you back on the show. But seriously, thanks for joining us. You've just got a way about you that you've always got that smile on your face. It's like you're really enjoying what you're doing here, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like the one thing that I have to really help people in their sourcing strategy is like look at the total active items of what they're looking at in front of them. Look at the active items versus the items that are sold. And if you have the same number of sold items as the same number of active items, well, that's going to give yourself a 33% sell-through rate, which gives you, a span of 3 months to get rid of, to actually sell the item.
Wow.
But and so that's kind of what I do is I toggle between active and sold items to determine the sell-through percentage on a monthly basis. And I try to stick at around 30 to 40%.
Nice.
And I know over the months I was selling, 40% of my total stock every single month.
Wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing, man. And yeah, so much information that especially the new people are going to learn from you. So thanks for joining us, Jason. It's really been fantastic information. We'll post all, I've got postman in my head now. We'll post all of today's interview on our show notes page, which can be found at www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/show notes. Jason, before you leave us, how can the big world get hold of you?
Sure. I'm on YouTube as Thrift Trader. I'm also on Instagram as Thrift Trader. And I have a Facebook group, eBay Sellers Anonymous, and I'm also Jason Deason on Facebook.
eBay Sellers Anonymous, I love it, man. Cool. All right. Well, we'll stick all your we'll stick them all in there, and the links in the show notes and stuff like that. Be sure to check out Jason's awesome interview here and all those links. From everyone here at So You Want to Sell on eBay, I'm Ali Young,
and I'm Ron LeBeau.
That's all for this episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. Be sure to check out our next episode or any past episodes by going online to soyouwantasellonebay.com. Also, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media sites, facebook.com/So You Want to Sell on eBay, and Twitter at Your eBay Podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, happy selling.
Have an idea for a topic or know someone who would like to be on the show? Let us know. Just go to www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/interview. We look forward to hearing from you. This podcast was produced in part by Pro Voice Works.